Well, good afternoon, folks. This webinar is primarily intended for all of those interested in outsourcing or purchasing bespoke software services from suppliers. There's quite a few challenges that have become apparent over the years as people have popularized outsourcing. And what we're trying to do is recognize that there's a need for a win-win solution on both sides. The customer needs to receive assurance that they're going to get the value for money and a desired outcome, but the vendor actually needs fair payment for their services and also, ideally, new business opportunities with those customers. And both sides need to control risks. And the sad fact is that in many outsourcing contracts, usually the whole thing gets renegotiated within 12 to 18 months because traditional contract management methods really aren't up to the challenge that we're trying to use them for. So for actually some time, there's been an alternative method, which is output-based contract management, where there's much more focus on the outcome, and we think these methods are lower cost, they're lower risk, they're quicker to get started, they allow both sides to make a move without expending a lot of money on lawyers and negotiation. And importantly, they're compatible with modern development methods like Agile, and that I think is a very important aspect. So we've got a few topics to cover. In the first part, I'm going to look at just reminding us of the drivers and the rationale for outsourcing in the first place. And then we'll look at some of the challenges for both the customers and the vendors. And we'll then look in a bit more detail at the alternative method of output-based contract management and costing software by the unit delivered. One of the roles that becomes key in this approach is the role of the independent third-party scope manager. And for those interested, I know that there's another ITMPI webinar tomorrow where Carol Deckers is talking specifically about certification for scope managers. So that might be of interest to you. Our fifth topic is going to be looking through some of the objections and how we would resolve those and actually make the whole process of contract management that much easier and quicker to do. And then a few summary conclusions and question and answer session, of course. So, topic one is the drivers and the rationale for outsourcing. The fact is that outsourcing is with us. Globalization is increasing the sources of supply and the sources of value, and so outsourcing is likely to continue to be popular and to grow in importance. The fact is that competition drives the need for innovation, and businesses are looking to suppliers for an innovative approach. Not least, the financial climate at the current time emphasizes the need on everybody's part to obtain a value for money for every dollar or every euro, and we think that that requires a tighter focus on getting the desired outcome. Of course, the rationale for outsourcing assumes that buying in non-core competencies is likely to be beneficial to the customer. Obviously, the vendor wants to sell their services, so they would get benefit of it. But let's just think about that a moment. Outsourcing allows management and staff to focus their energies on core competencies. So really that means that what is being outsourced are largely non-essential, non-core tasks that are at low risk for the business. If software development is actually a core competency or a high strategic risk for the business, then I personally would question whether outsourcing is the right solution in the first place. But certainly customers can benefit from the vendor's professional expertise, performance and innovation, and we've certainly seen situations where organizations have bought in expertise and business knowledge that otherwise it would take them years to acquire themselves. But the supplier can actually provide that and get an organization up to speed in maybe a particular technology or a new approach to particular business problems. So outsourcing can deliver a rapid access to specialist knowledge. It can achieve faster implementation if there is a shortage of in-house resources, and it can reduce the risk of failure if the in-house resources are trying to do something new or use an untried technology. And last, it actually can reduce the cost. And I fear that in many organisations make a mistake, in fact, by actually assuming that outsourcing is only justified by a reduced cost. And I think that that is really missing a big opportunity. So really, outsourcing is going to be most effective when the vendor provides assurance to the customers, stakeholders, that they are going to obtain their desired outcome, and that means on time, on budget, with the right quality, all those good things, and that actually the vendor is going to deliver better performance than the in-house IT group, however that is organised. And by performance, I mean it actually delivers the outcome quicker, it actually delivers it more productively and therefore at lower cost. The product is a higher quality, less prone to failure, and the overall development is less prone to risk. Specialist business or technical knowledge, it can be provided by the vendor, and of course the vendor may be providing innovation that is not otherwise available to the customer. And the outsourcing is going to be effective when the customer considers software to be a commodity non-core competency, which may be not good news from the vendor's perspective, but that's a sad fact of the matter. Or when the customer actually wants the business knowledge or technical know-how that the vendor is offering, and the customer actually considers that information to be of value. It is also important that the customer ensures that their partner that maybe they're going to work with for a number of years actually is aligned with the customer's understanding of what the customer values and the level of demand that is to be expected. Again, we've certainly seen things go wrong when the initial contract assumes a level of demand that in fact doesn't pan out, and that leaves the vendor high and dry with maybe a third or more of their workforce spare, and that's not really the way to develop a partnership. So partnership implies both the customer and vendor commit to improve performance continuously. I've never heard either party admit that they actually want to reduce performance in some sense. So it's inherent in the game that both sides are going to improve performance. And that works best if there's some sort of balance between the level of capability illustrated by the two parties. Here I've got a chart with, on the x-axis, we've got the vendor's capability, low to high, for instance, measured against the capability maturity model for the sake of argument. And similarly, on the vertical y-axis, we've got the customer's capability level, low to high. Now, actually, if both parties are low maturity, low capability, the odds are that there's going to be a level of crisis frequently anyway, let's say. There's constant crises, no requirements management or insufficient requirement management to really elicit the correct requirements. Risk management is often ignored. Lots of processing gets done ad hoc, and really there's no guarantee that anybody is going to get their desired outcome or indeed get paid for it. And it's those kind of situations which end up in the courts, and that is expensive for everyone. I know of a couple of